Welcome back. I have another confession from the dark corners of Skyrim. This one is about necromancy, but not the way you usually hear about it. This is about what really happens when a necromancer raises the dead, told from the perspective of someone who lived through it. You think death is the end, but what if a necromancer catches your soul before it escapes? What if you wake up trapped inside your own rotting corpse, forced to watch yourself murder everyone you love, unable to scream, unable to stop, unable to do anything but witness the horror? That is what happened to the person telling this story, and what they experienced in those 3 weeks is beyond nightmare. Worse still is what came after. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. I need you to understand something before I tell you this story. Death was supposed to be the end. That is what we were all taught. The why. Priests of Arche promised us that when our time came, our souls would move on to whatever afterlife awaited us. They told us death was a doorway, not a prison. They lied. Or maybe they just did not know what necromancers could do to us. My name does not matter anymore. What matters is what happened to me, and what could happen to you if you are not careful. I was a farmer outside Rorikstead. Nothing special. I had a wife, 2 children, a small plot of land that gave us enough to survive. Simple life, good life. Then the bandits came. I remember the axe, the way it caught the sunlight for just a second before it split my skull. I remember the pain, sharp and bright, and then nothing. Darkness, complete and total darkness. I thought that was it. I thought I was done. I was wrong. The first thing I felt when I woke up was the wrongness of it all. My heart was silent in my chest. Not slow, not faint, silent, like a stone sitting in my ribs. My lungs were empty, but I did not gasp for air. I did not need air anymore. The cold came next, but it was not the cold of winter or night. It was the cold of death itself, seeping through every part of me, and I could feel it. Even though I should not have been able to feel anything at all, I tried to move my hand. It would not obey me. I tried to turn my head. Nothing. Then I realized the truth. I could see, I could think, I could feel, but I could not control anything. My body did not belong to me anymore. There was a woman standing over me, a necromancer. I could see the glow of her hands, purple and sick-looking, like infected flesh. She was muttering something in a language I did not understand, and with each word, I felt her will pouring into my corpse, like water filling a jug. She was the hand now. I was just the glove. She made me stand. I watched my arms rise, jerking and stiff, like a puppet on strings. I wanted to scream. I tried to scream, but my mouth would not open unless she wanted it to, and when it did, all that came out was a low, rattling moan that did not sound human anymore. I need you to understand what this felt like. Imagine being buried alive, but worse. Imagine watching through your own eyes as someone else moves your fingers, walks with your legs, breathes with your lungs, even though you are dead, and those lungs do not work right anymore. You are trapped behind glass, pounding on it, and nobody can hear you. The necromancer marched me back toward my village. Every step was wrong. My joints did not bend the way they used to. My feet dragged in the dirt. I could feel the stiffness in my limbs, the way my muscles had started to lock up from rigor mortis. But she forced me forward anyway, and I had no choice but to watch. When we reached the edge of Rorikstead, people started to notice. At first, they thought I was just injured. Some of them called out my name. Then they got closer. Then they saw my face, the split skull, the blood-dried black down my neck, the empty look in my eyes. They screamed. My wife came running. She saw me and stopped. I will never forget the look on her face. Horror first, then recognition, then hope. Desperate, stupid hope. She thought I was still in here. She thought I had somehow survived. She started crying and reaching for me, and I tried so hard to warn her. I tried to make my mouth form words. I tried to make my eyes blink in some pattern she would understand, but the necromancer did not care what I wanted. She made me grab my wife by the throat. I felt her pulse beneath my fingers. It was strong and fast because she was scared, and I could feel it through my dead, gray skin. I tried to let go. I tried to pull back. I screamed inside my own head until I thought I would go insane, but my hands just kept squeezing. I watched her face change. The hope died first, then the confusion came, then the betrayal. She looked into my eyes, searching for me, and I was there. I was right there, but I could not reach her. All I could do was watch as her face turned red, then purple, then slack. Her pulse slowed under my fingers. It stuttered. It stopped. When she fell, the necromancer let me drop her. My wife hit the ground like a sack of grain, and I just stood there, swaying, staring down at her with eyes that could not cry anymore. The villagers ran. Some of them tried to fight, but I was already dead, and most weapons do not work well on corpses. The necromancer used me as a shield, hiding behind my body while she cast more spells. She raised 2 more dead that night. I watched them rise, jerking and twitching, their eyes just as empty as mine. She kept me for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of waking nightmares. 3 weeks of watching myself do things I would never do. She used me to kill 6 more people. 4 of them I knew. 2 of them were my children. My son tried to stab me with a pitchfork. He was 12. The necromancer made me catch the pitchfork mid-thrust and tear it from his hands. Then she made me break his neck. It was quick, at least. He did not suffer long, but I felt his bones snap in my hands. I felt his weight go limp. I heard the sound it made. My daughter ran. She got almost a mile before the necromancer sent me after her. I was faster than I should have been. Dead muscles do not tire the same way. I caught her by the river, and the necromancer made me hold her under the water until she stopped moving. I felt her struggle. I felt her go still, and the whole time I was screaming inside my head, begging for it to stop, begging for someone to kill me again so I would not have to do this. But nobody killed me. They tried. They shot arrows into my chest. They cut me with swords, but I did not bleed right anymore, and pain did not stop me. The necromancer just kept repairing me, stitching me back together with magic, and I kept walking. What do you think really happened here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would like to know if I am the only one who feels this way. The worst part was not the killing, it was the rot. I could feel my body falling apart, slowly at first, then faster. The skin on my hands started to peel away. The flesh underneath turned black and green. Maggots came. I could feel them writhing in the wound on my head, eating away at what was left of my brain, but I could still think. I could still feel. The necromancer's spell kept my mind intact, even as my body decayed. By the second week, I could smell myself, the stench of rot and death. It was so strong it made me want to vomit, but I could not vomit because my stomach did not work anymore. I just had to smell it, day after day, knowing that smell was me. By the 3rd week, parts of me were falling off. A finger here, a chunk of skin there. My jaw hung loose on one side, where the tendons had rotted through. When the necromancer made me talk, it sounded like gargling mud. She used me for labor, mostly, digging graves, carrying supplies, guarding her camp at night. Sometimes she would make me fight other bandits or travelers who got too close. I killed 11 people in total, 11 souls on my hands, and I could not do anything to stop it. Then one day, she just let me go. I do not know why. Maybe I was too rotten to be useful anymore. Maybe she got bored. Maybe she found a fresher corpse. But she released the spell, and the moment she did, I felt it. The pull, like a thread snapping. My consciousness started to slip away, and for the first time in 3 weeks, I felt something like relief. The darkness took me again, but this time it felt different. It felt final. I thought I was done. I thought I could finally rest. But I was wrong about that too. Because when you die the way I died, when a necromancer drags your soul back and forces it to do terrible things, you do not get to rest. You get sent somewhere else, somewhere worse. I woke up in the Soul Cairn. That is what it is called. I did not know that at first. All I knew was that I was standing in a wasteland made of purple fog and black stones, and I was alone, completely alone. The sky was wrong. It was not sky at all, just a void pressing down on everything. The ground was made of something that looked like broken glass mixed with bone, and it crunched under my feet when I walked. I had a body again, not my real body, that was rotting somewhere outside Rorikstead, probably torn apart by wolves by now. This was something else. A shade. A phantom. I looked down at my hands, and I could see through them, like I was made of smoke. When I tried to touch my face, my fingers passed through it. I was a ghost, a prisoner, a soul torn from the natural cycle, and dumped here because a necromancer decided she needed a servant. The ideal masters run this place. I learned that from the other souls trapped here. They are ancient beings, creatures so old they do not even have bodies anymore, just consciousness and hunger. They collect souls the way you might collect coins, and they use us as currency, trade us, barter with us. We are property here, less than property. We are fuel. There are thousands of us in the Soul Cairn, maybe more. I cannot count them all. Some of them have been here for centuries. Some arrived yesterday. All of us have the same story. We were killed. We were trapped. We were used. And now we are here, and we will be here forever, unless someone destroys the gem that held our soul, or unless we get lucky enough that the ideal masters decide to trade us away to some other nightmare. I met a woman on my second day. She told me her name was Ilya. She had been a mage once, studying at the College of Winterhold. Her teacher soul trapped her during an experiment. She said she had been in the Soul Cairn for 43 years. She looked the same age she died, 26, but her eyes were old, ancient. She told me time works differently here, that you feel every second of it, stretched out forever, but it does not move forward the way it should. She was the one who explained what happened to me. She said when a necromancer raises a corpse with a lesser reanimation spell, they pull a minor spirit from oblivion to animate it. Something weak, something that does not think much. But when they use dead thrall or similar spells on a fresh body, sometimes the person's own soul gets caught in the spell before it can escape to Aetherius or Sovngarde or wherever it was supposed to go. The necromancer traps you inside your own corpse, and you are awake for all of it, every single moment. That is what happened to me. My soul was still attached to my body when she cast the spell, so instead of moving on like I should have, I got yanked back into my corpse and forced to watch myself kill my family. And then when the spell finally ended, my soul was marked, corrupted. The natural pathways to the afterlife were closed to me because I had been tainted by necromancy, so I ended up here instead. Ilya told me that most people do not know this happens. They think reanimated corpses are just mindless puppets. They think the soul is long gone by the time a necromancer raises the body. Sometimes that is true. Sometimes the necromancer waits long enough for the soul to fully detach, and then they just pull some random spirit from oblivion to do the work. Those corpses are truly mindless, but fresh corpses, bodies that died recently, those are dangerous because the soul might still be there, screaming, trapped behind dead eyes. She told me about a Nord named Hrogar who had been turned into a thrall by a necromancer in Morthal. The necromancer kept him for 6 months, using him to kill and rob travelers on the roads. Hrogar's soul was aware the whole time. When the necromancer finally got killed by some adventurer, Hrogar's body collapsed, and his soul came here. Ilya said she talked to him once. He told her he could still remember the faces of everyone he killed, 47 people. He counted them every day, every single day. For the past 12 years, he counted them and remembered their faces. That is what this place does to you. It does not let you forget. I asked her if there was a way out. She laughed. It was not a kind laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had asked the same question 1,000 times and learned the hard way that there was no good answer. She said the only way out was if someone came to the Soul Cairn physically and bargained with the ideal masters for your release. But who would do that? Who even knows we are here? Most people in Tamriel do not understand what black soul gems really do. They see them as tools, powerful tools, sure, but just tools. They do not think about the person trapped inside. They do not think about the consciousness still aware, still feeling, locked in a prison the size of a fist, while some mage uses their soul to enchant a pair of boots or recharge a sword. They do not think about what happens when that soul finally gets released, where it goes, what it suffers. I have been here for what feels like years. It might have been days, it might have been centuries. I do not know. Time does not work right in this place. Sometimes I walk, and I end up back where I started. Sometimes I stand still, and the landscape shifts around me. The ideal masters whisper sometimes, their voices echoing across the wastes, but I cannot understand what they are saying. I do not want to understand. There are others here who went mad. I can hear them screaming in the distance, high-pitched wails that go on for hours, days, forever. Ilya told me some souls break after the first year, some last longer, but everyone breaks eventually. She said she had not broken yet, but I could see it in her eyes, the cracks forming, the slow collapse. She was holding on, but barely. If you have ever wondered what choice you would make in a situation like this, tell me in the comments. I will be reading them. The worst part is the memory. It never fades. I remember everything. I remember the feeling of my wife's pulse slowing under my fingers. I remember my son's neck snapping. I remember my daughter's bubbles rising through the water and then stopping. I remember the smell of my own rot. I remember all of it with perfect clarity, and I will remember it forever. That is the curse of this place. It preserves you exactly as you were at the moment of death, with all your memories, all your guilt, all your pain, and it never lets you forget. I tried to move on. I tried to tell myself it was not my fault. I tried to believe that I did everything I could to resist, but the thoughts do not stop. They circle like vultures. What if I had fought harder? What if I had found some way to warn them? What if I had just died properly in the first place, cleanly, so my soul could escape before the necromancer got to me? Ilya says I need to accept it. She says, guilt is a trap here, that the ideal masters feed on it, that the more we torture ourselves, the more powerful they become. But how do you accept something like this? How do you forgive yourself for killing your own children, even if you had no control? Some of the souls here try to pretend. They build little routines for themselves. They walk the same paths every day. They talk to the same people. They try to create some sense of normalcy in a place that is anything but normal. I tried that for a while. I tried to pretend I was just waiting, that someone would come for me, that this was temporary. But it is not temporary. This is forever, and no one is coming. I met another soul recently. His name was Ulfrid. He had been a merchant in Markarth. A necromancer killed him for his gold and trapped his soul in a black soul gem. The necromancer sold the gem to an enchanter, who used it to enchant a ring of stamina. Ulfrid said he was aware the whole time he was in the gem. He said it was like being buried alive in the dark, but worse, because he could feel the enchantment pulling at him, draining him bit by bit. He said it felt like someone was peeling his skin off, one layer at a time, and it never stopped. When the ring finally broke and his soul was released, he ended up here. He had been in that gem for 3 years. 3 years of constant agony before finally being dumped in the Soul Cairn for eternity. Stories like his are common here. Everyone has a horror story. Everyone has a moment they wish they could forget, but never will. We share them sometimes, trading nightmares like currency, because what else is there to do? The ideal masters do not care about our suffering. They do not even notice it. We are just resources to them. Batteries, things to be used up and discarded, and the necromancers who sent us here, most of them do not know what they are doing. They think they are just casting a spell. They think the soul inside the gem is dormant, asleep, unaware. They are wrong. Every soul in a black soul gem is awake. Every soul is screaming, and when you use that soul to enchant your armor or recharge your weapon, you are condemning a conscious being to torment. You are ripping them apart, piece by piece, and then throwing what is left into the Soul Cairn to suffer forever. That is the truth that nobody wants to hear. That is the secret the College of Winterhold tries to hide. That is why black soul gems are illegal in most holds, even if people still use them anyway. Because if everyone knew what they really did, if everyone understood the cost, maybe they would think twice. But they do not know, and they will not know unless someone tells them. Asterisk, asterisk. If this story has kept you listening this far and you want more of these dark confessions from Skyrim, hit that subscribe button. It tells me someone out there is still paying attention to warnings like these. Asterisk, asterisk. I want to tell you about the day I saw my necromancer again. I did not think it was possible. The living are not supposed to be able to enter the Soul Cairn unless they are undead or burnt. They offer part of their own soul as payment. But she came. I saw her walking across the wastes with 2 other people, adventurers by the look of them, and I recognized her immediately. The same robes, the same cold eyes, the same hands that had forced me to murder my family. I tried to run to her. I thought maybe I could make her see what she had done. Maybe I could make her understand. Maybe she could tell someone on the outside what happens to the souls she traps. But when I got close, she looked right through me. I was nothing to her, just another ghost in a realm full of ghosts. She walked past me like I was not even there. I followed her for a while. I listened to her talk to her companions. She was looking for something, some kind of elder scroll or artifact. She needed to bargain with the ideal masters. And do you know what she offered them? Souls. She had a bag full of black soul gems, each one containing a person, a consciousness, someone who was probably still screaming. In the dark, she handed them over like they were coins. I watched the ideal masters accept her offering. I watched them crack open those gems and pull the souls out, adding them to this place, to this eternal prison. I saw the new arrivals stumble into existence, confused and terrified, looking around at the purple fog and broken landscape, trying to understand what had happened to them. And my necromancer just walked away. She got what she wanted and left. That was when I understood. She did not care. She had never cared. To her, we were always just tools, resources, things to be used and discarded. The fact that we were people once, that we had families and lives and dreams, none of that mattered. We were just fuel for her magic. I wanted to hate her. I tried to hate her, but the hate would not come. All I felt was empty, hollow, like something inside me had finally given up. Ilya found me after that. She said she had seen the same thing happen dozens of times. Necromancers, coming through, trading souls, moving on. She said I needed to let it go, that holding on to hope or anger or anything would just make it worse. She said the only way to survive the Soul Cairn was to stop feeling altogether, to become as empty as the landscape around us. I asked her if she had managed to do that, if she had stopped feeling. She looked at me for a long time before she answered. Then she said no. She said she tried every day, but she could not do it. Because the moment you stop feeling, the moment you let yourself become truly empty, that is when you stop being human. That is when the ideal masters win. So we keep feeling, we keep remembering, we keep suffering, because that is all we have left. I need you to understand something. This is not just my story. This is happening right now, all across Skyrim. There are necromancers in every hold, practicing their art, raising the dead, trapping souls. Some of them are bandits hiding in caves. Some of them are mages at the College of Winterhold, studying in secret. Some of them are ordinary people who found a spellbook and decided to try it out without understanding the consequences. And every time someone gets raised as a thrall, there is a chance that their soul is still there, still aware, still trapped, watching themselves commit atrocities, feeling their body rot, screaming silently for help that will never come. The college teaches reanimation spells openly now. They say it is just conjuration. They say it is no different from summoning a flame Atronach or a Dremora, but they are wrong. When you summon a Dremora, you are pulling a creature from oblivion that will return there when the spell ends. When you reanimate a corpse, you might be trapping a human soul in a prison of dead flesh, and when that spell ends, that soul does not return home. It comes here. I have met so many people in the Soul Cairn who were victims of necromancy, farmers like me, merchants, guards, adventurers, even children. There was a little girl named Sophie. She was 8 years old when a necromancer killed her and used her body as a scout, small and fast and easy to control. She was aware the whole time, 3 days of being used as a puppet, before the necromancer got killed by a traveling warrior. 3 days was enough. Her soul was marked. She ended up here. She has been here for 16 years now. She still looks 8 years old. She will always look 8 years old. When I talk to her, she asks me when her mother is coming to get her. She does not understand that her mother is probably dead by now. She does not understand that no one is coming. I tell her soon. I tell her to keep waiting, because what else can I say? That is the real cost of necromancy, not the bodies, not the undead armies, not the violation of Arcae's laws. The real cost is the people, the souls, the consciousness trapped and tortured and discarded. We are the price that necromancers pay for their power, and most of them do not even know we exist. I want you to imagine something. Imagine you die tomorrow. Maybe it is an accident. Maybe it is violence. Maybe it is just bad luck. You die, and you expect to move on. You expect to find peace or paradise, or whatever you believe waits for you on the other side. But before your soul can leave, a necromancer finds your body, they cast a spell, and suddenly you are awake again, but you cannot move, you cannot speak, you can only watch as your own hands commit murder. How long before you break? How long before the person you were is destroyed completely? How long before you become something else, something twisted and wrong and barely human? That is what happened to me. I am not the person I was. That person died when I killed my wife. What I am now is just a collection of memories and guilt and pain held together by the magic of this place. I exist because the ideal masters want me to exist. The moment they stop wanting that, I will cease, not die, not move on, just cease. And maybe that would be better, but it has not happened yet. So I am still here, still walking, still remembering, still carrying the weight of everything I did, even though I had no choice. Sometimes I wonder if my family made it to Sovngarde. I wonder if they are waiting for me there, or if they hate me too much to want to see me again. I wonder if they understand that it was not really me, that I fought as hard as I could, that I never stopped loving them, even when my dead hands were wrapped around their throats. I will never know, because I will never get to Sovngarde. I will never get to the far shores, or the sands behind the stars, or wherever good people go when they die. I am stuck here, forever, paying for crimes I did not choose to commit. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is that I am one of the lucky ones. At least I only suffered for 3 weeks before the spell ended. At least my body was allowed to rot and fall apart. There are souls here who were kept as thralls for years, decades. There are souls who were trapped in black soul gems and used for enchanting, drained slowly over months or years, feeling every moment of it. There are souls who went through things I cannot even imagine. We all end up in the same place. The Soul Cairn, the dumping ground for everyone that necromancy destroys. I am telling you this story because someone needs to know. Someone needs to understand what necromancy really does. The college will not tell you. The Jarl will not tell you. The priests of Arcae try to warn people, but nobody listens to them. So I am telling you, this is the truth. This is what happens when you trap a soul. This is what happens when you raise the dead. If you ever meet a necromancer, if you ever find a spellbook teaching reanimation, if you ever hold a black soul gem in your hands, I want you to remember this story. I want you to remember that there might be someone inside that gem. Someone like me. Someone who used to have a life, and a family and a future. Someone who is screaming. And if you still choose to use it after knowing that, if you still choose to trap souls and raise corpses and practice the dark arts, then you are no better than the necromancer who destroyed me. You are choosing power over compassion. You are choosing convenience over morality. You are choosing to damn innocent people to eternal suffering because it makes your sword hit a little harder or your armor protect a little better. That is the choice. That is always the choice. And most people make the wrong one because they do not know any better. Now you know. Now you cannot say you were not warned. I am still here in the Soul Cairn. I will always be here. And if you ever end up here too, if some necromancer traps your soul and sends you to this place, I will find you. I will tell you the same thing I am telling you now. You were not alone. You did not deserve this. And someone, somewhere, should have stopped it from happening. But they did not. And now here we are, forever.